Hello, hello! My name is Callista, and welcome back to Dragon Age Inquisition. In the last episode, Liliana informed us of some very odd happenings with the Grey Wardens. It seems they've all vanished. Now, here's the thing, the Grey Wardens are a very secretive order, but for all of the Wardens in Ferelden and Orlais to simply disappear, that doesn't sound right. That really doesn't sit very well with Aenor. Now, we will be going and checking out the Grey Warden that Liliana pointed us towards, a fellow called Blackwall, I believe. However, again, we have plenty more people to talk to in Haven. I would like to do that. Also, there is someone waiting for us outside the Chantry, it seems. Now then, I could have my counselors do some war table stuff, and I'll get to that later. Josephine, first and foremost. Do we have anything to turn in?
Please tell me if you find something.
Okie doke, will do, Minave.
What may I do for you?
Okie doke. What brought you here? How did you meet Liliana? Tell me about yourself. What are your duties? Yeah, I remember that. In the, what was it? The Codex entry for Josephine, it was effectively a report that Liliana sent Cassandra saying, hey, I know this lady, she's really good at her job. Like, we should have her as the diplomat. And I mean, if we have read that Codex entry, then I'm going to assume that Aenor has. Maybe it was, just out on the war table, something like that. Maybe it was on, I was going to say it was on Josephine's desk. Why would it be on Josie's desk? Cassandra and Liliana must have desks somewhere. Maybe it was there, and Aenor saw it. So yeah, how exactly did you meet Liliana?
How do you and Liliana know each other?
We moved through similar circles in Orlais. I believe we actually met in Val Royaux. Liliana was quite an accomplished player of the game by then.
Oh... Aenor knows what the game is. I can't imagine that Josie would let her go to Orlais without at least telling her what the game is. Maybe Aenor is hoping for even more information than the little tidbit that she got before.
What exactly do you mean when you say the game?
Forgive me. The game refers to the slow duels of influence among the noble and powerful of Orlais. It's a rather light-hearted name for the matter, but Orlesians are fond of playful touches.
And yeah, tell me about yourself. Oh, hello. Okay, what does your family do?
What business are the Montiliers in exactly?
We began as merchants. My ancestors founded the first trade routes to Rivain. We once sent entire fleets across the Waking Sea.
Once. Past tense. You don't do that any longer.
But not anymore.
No. These days, our vessels are a touch more modest.
And tell me about your work.
What did you do before coming here?
I had the great honor of serving Antiva's crown as ambassador to Orlais. I'm also first in line to become the head of House Montilier, though my siblings attend to our mercantile affairs.
So, are you doing this for Antiva? Oh, excuse me.
How strong are your past loyalties?
I would never have given up my position if I did not intend to fully commit to the Inquisition. We cannot fall back on borders. Antiva is as threatened as any country by the rebellions. If anything, the alliances I forged there may help our current cause.
Oh, yeah, that's a very good point. You're assuming we're gonna have other causes. Aenor kind of blanches at that thought. Aenor... Like, I'm gonna be honest, Aenor's kind of thinking, oh, I'll be here until we close the rift. Like, that's her kind of plan. I guess, we close the rift. Hopefully, closing the big rift will close the smaller rifts, and if it doesn't, then I can just, travel around, closing them. And then after that, peace will have been restored. Aenor is kind of the opinion, like, why should the Inquisition exist beyond the rift and, like, the mystery behind that? Like, Aenor really doesn't believe, like, I guess in a way she does kind of agree with that guy at Vivienne's party, you know, like, here comes the outsider, enforcing peace with blades. Aenor does agree with that. Aenor's like, no, the Inquisition should, like, it should close the rift, it should, you know, forge peace, restore order, and then it should just stop. It really shouldn't continue beyond that, because people are going to get pissed with an outside force barging into their country and being like, hey, we're here to solve your problems. We didn't ask you to do any of this. Too bad. Here we are. We're getting our nose in all of your shit. Like, people are gonna get really pissed with that. And so I think Aenor's like, if it ever gets to that stage, I'd be long gone. I'd be chilling out with my family not in the Dales. But I'd be chilling out with the Dalish, again, going to Wycombe, that kind of thing. I'd be back in my own routine. So this probably won't affect me, but, like, are you really so sure that this is what you want to be doing?
Do you think the Inquisition will continue after we seal the breach?
If we prove ourselves by healing the breach, people may turn to us for other things. Protection, counsel, justice. The Inquisition offered these once to those in need.
If you're sitting back and allowing people to come to you, that's fair. However, it's when you start forcing your help on others, that's when it gets dodgy. I mean, here's the thing, technically speaking, the Inquisition is forcing its help on Ferelden right now. I can't imagine that Queen Aenor has asked the Inquisition, hey, could you come sort out the Mage Templar conflict? The Inquisition has just arrived. It has just rocked up in Redcliffe like, hey, here we are, we're sorting your shit out. And, I mean, in the immediate, people are going to be grateful. Aenor isn't dense. She's socially awkward. She's not socially stupid. She knows what people are like. I mean, if someone tried to do that to her, she'd be pissed. Like, and that's Aenor's kind of rule of thumb. How would I react in that situation? Would I react well or would I react poorly? And if someone started forcing their help on my clan, despite us not really asking for help, and like, here's the thing, I guess Aenor would maybe equate this to a food shortage. I apologize. Again, I'm still really rather stressed. Tongue fumbles are going to happen when I'm stressed. Let's say the clan is going through a food shortage. A group of people arrive, they're like, here, we have extra food. We would like to offer you some. Clan Llewellyn is like, thank you so much. Like, we really appreciate that. And then those strangers start saying, okay, we're now gonna help you run the clan. We're gonna establish, like, a clan council. Y'all aren't gonna be on it. Like, some of you can be on it, but, like, we're gonna start running your clan for you. We're gonna dictate the routes you take. Clan Llewellyn would be like, no, you offered us food to be kind, or at least that's what we thought. We didn't realize that you were going to use that as, like, a bargaining chip. What? Like, no, take your food and leave. In the immediate, Queen Aenor is going to be like, thank you so much for protecting my citizens. You've sorted out the Mage Templar conflict. That's great. People aren't dying. However, if they continue to push their luck, she's going to get pissed. She's going to want them to leave if they keep pushing it. And Aenor can see that. Aenor's just like, I'd urge caution. I'm not really one of you guys, but, like, I really would urge caution when you're dealing with these things, because people are going to get pissed. Trust me, if life as a Dalish has taught me one thing, it's that don't stick your nose in where it shouldn't be, because people will get pissed at you. Like, don't do it.
Tell me, do you believe I was saved by Andraste at the Temple of Sacred Ashes?
I should much like to believe so, your worship. The miracles Andraste performed were so long ago, they're difficult to picture. If it were truly her and the Fate who saved you. Well, in any case, many already believe you walk in the Maker's light.
Josie, why did you have to say that? Oh god, it really doesn't help that Josie calls Aenor your worship. Aenor doesn't want to be worshipped. That is the last thing she wants. She's like, nope, no thank you, I don't call me that, please don't. How do I put it? I think she finds Josie intriguing in that, kind of way of like, our skill sets are so different. You are so diplomatically savvy, you talk so well, you're so charming and persuasive. But that, like, oh, I'd really like to believe you were saved by Andraste. Aenor's like, that could very quickly turn into hero worship. And I have no desire to be worshipped. None whatsoever. I want to be treated as an equal. Not better than and not worse than. Just an equal. So, oof. I think the fires of passion Aenor felt for Josephine kind of sputtering out there. It's, ooh.
Let's speak later.
Another time.
That makes her so uncomfortable.
Greetings.
Do you have anything to report?
What do the people make of us?
Despite our fame, we're low on steadfast allies. We must aim for more.
Okay, do we have any guess?
Any visiting dignitaries I should watch out for?
Sir Griffith of Denerim, a most distinguished knight of the realm. He's defeated darkspawn, slain demons, chased down abominations. Just don't ask him about it over dinner. He spares no detail.
Okay. Very interesting. And Giselle, a proper conversation with you, I think.
I greet you.
Okay, yeah. Everyone keeps talking about this Inquisition of old, but Aenor really doesn't have any idea about that.
Can you tell me about the original Inquisition?
The original Inquisition was formed after the First Blight, well before the Chantry as we know it. The Inquisitors were hunters, zealots, who tracked and killed cultists and dangerous mages. As Andraste rose to power, the Inquisition came into her service. Instead of hunting those who would do harm, the Inquisitors spread the chant of light by force.
Yeah. Great. That is horrible. That is... Aenor wants no part of that. No, thank you. We're named after that, Queen. It had to be done. No, it didn't have to be done. It really didn't.
It must be difficult to follow the chant of light, knowing how it's spread.
Indeed. I have always believed that the Maker wished us to spread the chant of light by example, not violence. In any case, once the chant of light had spread far and wide, there was less need for zealots. The Inquisitors became the seekers of truth, and eventually the Templars.
Why bring us back? So we're true believers. Not all of us. And now we're back. Yeah, why? Why did Justinia feel the need to bring back this order?
This is a dark chapter of history for the Divine to revisit.
Do you know what impresses me most about the original Inquisition? They fought horrific battles, killed and died for their cause, and when it was time, they put their swords away. Perhaps the name was divine, Justinia's message, that when the Inquisition is needed, it will strike without mercy. But when its work is done, it will put its sword away.
Aenor can agree with that. I think Aenor's like, yes, this is the message I want to hear. Josie thinking like, oh, we'll continue and like do other things. And Aenor's like, no, like when your work is done, your work is done. There is no need for an Inquisition to stick around after, you know, the rift has been sorted. And here's the thing, it's not just the rift. Aenor understands there is someone who created that. Like, we need to track whoever that is down, but afterwards, like, once everything is settled and sorted, as Giselle says, put your swords away. There is no need for it to continue beyond that. Yeah, who do you think will be the next Divine?
Do you know who the Grand Clerics will choose as the next Divine?
It is a difficult decision. All the obvious candidates perished with Divine Justinia at the Conclave. The Grand Clerics are terrified of the Inquisition. They will not decide soon, and I fear they will not decide wisely. Whoever is chosen needs the Inquisition's support. No one else seems likely to seal the breach.
With all of the obvious suspects dead, they're gonna have to choose someone not quite so obvious. Yeah, I'm good for now. Is there anything I can do?
Is there anything I can do to help you or your people?
My healers would benefit from more supplies. We have run short of even common goods with so many wounded. If you could deliver this list and the items on it to Quartermaster Thren, she could get us what we need. It may not seem like much, but it would enable my healers to save many lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yes, can do.
Farewell.
Farewell.
Oh, and we have everything. Okay, good stuff. Vivienne?
O Creator, see me near.
There you are, my dear. Oh, excuse me.
I met an elven mage earlier. Solus, I believe he was called. I admit I was surprised. I didn't expect to find mages among the Inquisition. Tell me, why were you at the Divine Conclave?
Okay. Ooh. We need the circle restored. The Templars made their beds. Mages should be free. Justice is all that matters. The rebels are apostates. This chaos harms everyone. I'm inclined to go with this. The thing that annoys me is that these aren't mutually exclusive. They really aren't. Because here's the thing, Aenor believes both of these. The mages should be free. They shouldn't have to live anywhere. But we need the circles restored because mages should be amongst their own kind. Mages need to be amongst other people who know the struggles they face. Who can, like, oh, I had this really nasty, experience in the Fade, and there will be sympathetic faces there who know exactly what they mean to be like, same, yeah, don't worry, youngling, that happens. It happens to all the best mages. Don't worry, you're on the right path. They need that connection. But the game can be so black or white sometimes. I'm like, they're not. You can believe both. Goddamn. Yeah. Aenor was at the Conclave because it was the chaos of the Mage Templar War that was kicking up a fuss for her clan, effectively. So yeah, I think this is the best one for her.
The war benefits no one. It must end, and order must be restored.
If only the rebels saw things so clearly. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
I'll do all I can, and you'll help decide their fate is in their hands. Ooh. Here's the thing. On one hand, Aenor does agree with this. Their fate is in their hands. Not only are they responsible for their own actions, but they are capable. Regular people are capable. They don't need some, grand overseer who tells them how to think and feel. Regular people are capable of great things. However, regular people can't seal the breach. Because they don't have magical gubbins on their hands. Aenor is the only one who can seal the breach. In a way, the fate of Thedas does rest on her shoulders because so far she's the only one they've found who can seal the rifts. I guess, yeah, I'll do all I can to restore order.
I'll try not to let them down.
Failure is a luxury we cannot afford, my dear. For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
No one should have that power. Andraste chose me. The Chantry will be restored. I'll use it to change things. Oh, I'm inclined to go with this. Aenor doesn't believe that Andraste chose her. She doesn't believe the Chantry should be restored. She doesn't believe that the Chantry should be dissolved. Just because they took away a lot of her religion doesn't mean she should take away theirs. Aenor has no interest in tit for tat. However, she also has no interest in restoring the Chantry. She's kind of like, let the Chantry do its own thing. I'm not responsible for it. I'll help them. If they ask for my help, I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna be a dick about it. But, like, if the Chantry is floundering off on its own and it's not asking for help, I'm not inclined to pick up the pieces for it. Like, it can do whatever the hell it wants. Ooh, I was drawn to this one. No one should have that power. Aenor feels very uncomfortable with people thinking that she is an agent of the Maker. She's very uncomfortable with people worshipping her. I think Aenor does believe that things need to change. That's the thing. She wants the circles restored, but they need to change. Then they need to adapt and evolve. Things can't remain stuck in the past. I think that's one of her problems with the Dalish. Aenor, as an elf, she is very much like, let's look forward. Why are we obsessing over the past? Why are we obsessing over Arlathan and all of that? Let's make new. Why can't we have new things? Why can't we integrate with the city elves and not make it feel like they're less than? Like, because they aren't. They know stuff that we don't. The city elves have valuable knowledge. Why can't we incorporate that into what we have? Let's share knowledge. Let's not make them feel like less than because they didn't grow up in a forest. Like, that's stupid. That's incredibly stupid. Let's look forwards rather than looking back. Things need to change. We can never reclaim our lost glory. It's dead and gone. Let's create new glory. Change ho, and all of that. What gets me is that I'll use it. And she's so uncomfortable with it. I can't, at this stage at least, she doesn't want to use this power. She doesn't want to, like, she wants things to change, but she's like, I shouldn't be using these people to further my own goals. That's wrong. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go with this.
Nobody should claim to know the will of the Maker. Not me, and not the Chantry.
Perhaps nobody should. But if no one leads the way, many will be left behind in darkness. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me keep you.
Oh, Vivienne, you aren't keeping me. I want to talk to you.
Yes?
Okay, let's see. Tell me about the circle. Tell me about yourself. Any chance we might... Aenor would not be so bold as to just proposition a lady she just met. Also, for anyone who is watching this blind, Vivienne is not a romance option. The game likes to trick you into thinking she is, but she is not romanceable. She is not someone that Aenor could date. If I'm being honest, I can't exactly see Aenor with Vivienne. I think she more so looks at Vivienne as a mentor figure. Just because she's also very diplomatically savvy. She's very good at the game, and she does offer good advice. I like what she said to her, like, nobody should know the will of the Maker. Well, perhaps nobody should, but if no one leads the way, then everyone will be left in the darkness. I think that is very good advice. Someone does need to lead the way, and as it stands, that person is currently Aenor. Yeah, okay, tell me about the circles.
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
Tell me about the Templars. Wasn't the Circle disbanded? What was Circle life like? How did the rebellion start? Okay, yeah, tell me about the Templars.
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so long in the Circle.
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarans or men. I have known some who are impossible to endure, and some who are utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from nobles or tradesmen in Val Royaux. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant elements at bay.
Again, that's something Aenor can agree with. Not necessarily the last bit. Aenor has no experience using the Templars as a useful tool. However, the thing she said before, having opinions about Templars is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarrans or men, or whatever it was she said. You know, they are individuals. There are going to be some Templars who are dickheads. There are going to be some Templars who are lovely. You can't judge all of them based off of the worst examples that you have seen. Like, that is wrong. That isn't... Respect people to be individuals, effectively. Yeah, wasn't the circle disbanded, my dear?
If the circle disbanded, how can you still belong to it?
The circle is an idea, my dear, and an idea cannot be dissolved. Many of the first enchanters voted for rebellion, caring little that anything short of a unanimous decision would pit mage against mage. Rather than dissolving it, Grand Enchanter Fiona's vote split the circle in two. The rebels follow her, the loyalists follow me.
I also agree with that. That, here's the thing, you were never gonna get a unanimous decision. You were never gonna get that. However, what Fiona has done, it has pitted mage against mage, because there were plenty of mages who enjoyed their time in the circle, who want the circles to continue, and, and all of that, and Fiona has... Here's the thing, Fiona hasn't just created violence between mages and Templars, she's created violence between mages and mages. Here's the thing, I don't want you to think that I'm against the rebellion, because on some levels I'm not. The mages did need to take a stand. They would have kept being walked over otherwise. I just disagree with how they went about it. It could have been handled so much better. It could have... there's just so much violence. Copious amounts of violence. And here's the thing. I think Vivienne hasn't said this yet, but she has a very good line. Mages are outnumbered 10-1. And a lone mage... Yes, they can cast fireballs down from the sky. However, regular people have pitchforks. And regular people can quite easily kick the shit out of a mage. Can quite easily kick a mage to death. You have not only pitted mages against Templars, mages against mages, you have also pitted mages against the general population of Thedas. And you might be able to win against the Templars. You're on even footing there. You are vastly outnumbered against the people of Thedas. And the people of Thedas are very much like Sarah. I said this before, Sarah is a very good indication of what the people of Thedas believe. And let's be honest, Sarah is incredibly mage-phobic. I know she likes to sit there and go, oh, I'm not mage-phobic, I'm not mage-phobic. She is, though. How many people do you know that will just say, oh yeah, I'm racist? Very few. People are far more likely to go, I'm not racist. But, and then they look around, and then they say racist shit. That's what Sarah does. She's horrifically mage-phobic. The vast majority of people in Thedas are horrifically mage-phobic. Either because they've listened to the things the Chantry says and believe it, or because they're ignorant. They are naive. They don't know any better. And that is what the mages will have to face. That's why the circles are necessary. It's not just protecting the people of Thedas from the mages. You need to protect the mages from the people of Thedas, because the Chantry has done a number on their beliefs. The Chantry has Again, excuse me, I'm running out of air. I really shouldn't speak so much, but I will. I will continue to speak so much. Yeah, the Chantry has just encouraged this hatred towards magic and mages. And the people of Thedas, they need time to adapt. They need time for those beliefs to be dissolved, to be gotten rid of, for, understanding and empathy to take root. And just being like, okay, no, we're being free now, we're being free. People aren't going to understand it. People are going to react with fear and violence, and that it could have been avoided. Fiona, why did you do this? Shouldn't you replace Fiona? I'd get behind that. Personally, I would.
If you led all the loyalists, why are you only First Enchanter and not Grand Enchanter?
Grand Enchanters are elected, and since there are no First Enchanters besides myself, no vote can be held. I could name myself Grand Enchanter, but the title holds no meaning now. When the circles are restored, that will change.
A complaint people like to make of Vivienne, she's ambitious. Everything she does is for power and all of that. And I agree with that. She is incredibly ambitious. And yes, I think a lot of what she does is with the idea of like, I'm going to get ahead. I'm not going to be some peasant or whatever. I'm going to be more than a Grand Enchanter or First Enchanter, whatever. I'm a bit confused. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten today and my brain is a little bit fluffy. My apologies. A lot of what Vivienne does is so that she can get ahead. However, if she were exclusively thinking of that, she would just name herself Grand Enchanter. She's waiting for that vote, though. She clearly does, on some level, respect the beliefs of her fellow mages. She clearly does, otherwise she would have just named herself Grand Enchanter and been like, fuck Fiona. Admittedly, she is still like, fuck Fiona, but then so am I, so we're in the same boat there. She would have said, oh, fuck Fiona, fuck having a vote, fuck democracy, I'm Grand Enchanter. Like, I vote for myself, and she hasn't done that. She hasn't. Okay, what was circle life like? I think Aenor would be very interested in this.
What was it like to live in a circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of circle life unique to themselves. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
This is another complaint people have of Vivienne, that she doesn't... I guess... Because I've heard people say, like, oh, she must have suffered, she must have suffered. She didn't say that she didn't. She literally just said before that she suffered insults at the hands of Templars, but no more than she suffered from tradesmen in Val Royeaux. She's not saying she had this picture-perfect circle life, but for the most part, she was able to make something really good of it. She would not be where she is now, but for the circles, but for the fact that she is very capable at the game. I do get the impression that circles in Orlais encourage their mages to participate in the game, just because it is such an integral part of Orlesian life. And I guess having that freedom really enables the mages of Orlais to kind of do great things with their lives, compared to the circle in Kirkwall, which was very much like, shut up, get in your room, don't fucking say anything. Like, no, we really don't care about you. Like, if anything, I kind of feel like all circles should encourage the mages to participate in the game. Even if they're not in Orlais, just, like, be politically savvy. Like, try and better yourself. What about your experience? Was confinement hard? Yeah, what about your experience specifically? Aenor probably hasn't had many experiences with circle mages. Either those that, hated the circles or those that loved them. So yeah, I think Aenor is just very intrigued about all of this.
So tell me about your personal experience with the circle.
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an edifice devoted to knowledge and refinement. And mages need the company of other mages. No one else can truly understand the challenges we face, nor see the world as we do.
And was confinement hard?
You must have been under constant supervision, being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's estate. I've never been forced to live anywhere. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own or in service to the nobility. All that was required was permission from the first enchanter. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite permissive. Perhaps too permissive, in retrospect.
I disagree with that last sentence. I have seen some people say, like, that's clearly been retconned, that mages could live outside of the circle, but we see that in Origins. Wynne travels with the Warden, and literally all she has to do is say, First Enchanter Irving, can I go? Yes, you can go. Bye. And that's it. That's all she needed. That is not a retcon that mages are allowed to live outside the circle. Like, it happened in Origins. I love Vivienne. I love her so much. Yeah, how did the rebellion start? Tell me all about it.
How did we come to this state with the circles in revolt?
A failure of perspective that infected circle leadership. Mages lived solely in a world of Templars and mages. They could not even imagine what was beyond the tower walls. Kirkwall gave the world a reason to remember its fear of magic. A mage killed hundreds with a snap of their fingers. Across Thedas, a new tangible fear of magic grew. Commoners and nobles alike called out to the Chantry for protection. But the malcontents in the towers thought nothing of this. They cared only for themselves and for their anger at the new Templar restrictions. When a mage attempted to assassinate Divine Justinia, again, the mages protested the investigation. The leadership chose to vote on independence based on the intolerable conditions imposed by the Templars, sparing no thought to the fact that magic was more feared in the aftermath of these attacks than it had been since Tevinter's day. So long as they had their freedom, they could care little for riots, angry mobs, or about pitting mages against each other.
This is a situation where I kind of feel like everyone's in the wrong. Really, no one is right here, because I do agree with Vivienne when she says, like, magic was incredibly feared in the aftermath of all of these events, and they didn't care about that. All they wanted was their freedom. They didn't care about how that would make them look to the people, because that really isn't going to enamor anyone to the mages. I agree with that. I also agree with the fact that the people were scared. There was an assassination attempt in Kirkwall. Anders exploded the Chantry. Like, magic had just really fucked up the world, and they were scared. They did and didn't have right to be scared. They were like, oh, this one mage did a thing. We should fear all mages. It's like, that's stupid. I can understand why you feel that way, but acting upon it probably isn't the right thing to do. Like, just because one mage committed a terror attack doesn't mean that all mages are going to do that. The Chantry then, like, okay, we're going to have these new restrictions in the circle. Again, it was in response to the people's fear, and these restrictions probably wouldn't have been permanent. It was like, we're going to do that temporarily, and then when the people feel safer, we're going to lift those restrictions. However, the mages were justified in thinking, well, we didn't do that. We had nothing to do with what happened in Kirkwall. We're in bloody Ferelden. Like, what is this? Like, we're in Orlais. We're in Navarra. Why are you punishing us for something that happened way over there? What is this? Like, it's just a shit piled on top of shit. It really is. Like, this was not handled well in any way, shape, or form. Oh god, this could have been handled so much better. Yeah, do you know Fiona personally?
Are you familiar with Grand Enchanter Fiona?
We've met. Before her horrendously ill-timed and selfish vote for independence, I thought her adequate at her job. In her dotage, she could not handle looking after the well-being of so many people. We would have done better to replace her years ago, to let her spend time gardening.
I love the vitriol there. I love the vitriol. Vivienne, never change. Never change. Yeah, here's the thing, were they justified? Aenor is kind of more inclined to side with the mages, because again, they're being held somewhere where they don't want to be held. And she doesn't believe that is right. At the same time, I think she does understand that people are scared. This does not help with people's fear. And you have pitted mages against other mages. Like this it just could have been handled better. Like there were other things you could have done before jumping to like, oh, we're just gonna leave and fuck all the consequences, we're gonna do our own thing. As I said before, freedom doesn't mean freedom from consequence. Like, you can't just because you're free doesn't mean you can do whatever the hell you want. If anything, you have more consequences because of that freedom. But also, you know, were they justified? It wasn't on them that Anders did what he did. Like, that's not on them. You know, they shouldn't have been punished for his mistake.
Did they have cause to rebel?
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really the most opportune time to break away? By all means, protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale murder. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
There we go, there's the line. Again, another point people like to make. Vivienne doesn't care about other mages. She very clearly does. And I know you can argue, oh, well, she's just saying that. She doesn't mean it. I can argue the fact of, like, well, how would you know that? You're not inside her brain. You can't say whether she means it or not. I'm inclined to believe that she does mean it. And based off of certain epilogue slides, if Vivienne becomes something, mages have more freedom than they have ever had. Like, Vivienne clearly cares about her own power, but I do also believe she wants to lift up other mages. She wants other mages to have the same opportunities that she did. I think that is one of Vivienne's biggest flaws. She thinks, well, I did it. If I can do it, then anyone can do it. But, like, no, there are some circles, like Kirkwall, that don't permit mages to do anything other than sit in their rooms. And there are some mages who are they're more timid. They aren't as capable of speaking up. Just because you did something doesn't mean that everyone is capable of doing the exact same thing. I think to me, that is Vivienne's biggest flaw. The fact that she kind of believes that, like, oh, if one person can do something, then anyone can, and that simply isn't true.
I thought the fighting was only between mages and Templars. Why are mages fighting mages?
The vote for independence was carried by only a small margin, but Fiona chose to let the motion stand. Those who opposed a rash declaration of war against the entire free world had little choice. By breaking from the Chantry when they did, the rebels declared themselves in support of mass murder. Anyone who did not wish to support terrorism and the slaughter of innocents was forced to take arms against the rebels.
I find that interesting. The fact that it was only a small minority that wanted independence. That, you know, if it was like a case of 85% of mages vote for independence and 15 voted like, no, let's stay with the circuit, I'd be like, that's fair. I can see that. The vast majority wanted independence. However, if it was a case of 55% voted for independence and 45... Have I got the math right there? Yes, I have. I can math. And 45% voted to remain. I'm like, ooh, that's a wee bit dodgy. I don't know how I feel about that. Face that way. There we go. Alrighty then. I am out of time for this episode. Again, in the next one, we have Liliana to speak to, and we also have whoever is waiting outside the Chantry for us. But until then, please remember to like if you enjoyed, leave a comment below, and if you wanted to subscribe, it would be very much appreciated. I've been Callista. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.